So Donald Trump might be in some hot water. I kept telling you guys, if he's going to go down when he's out of office, he will very likely go down because of the cases in New York against him. And now we're learning Manhattan DA interviews Deutsche Bank employees in Trump investigation. Uh-oh. So there's a number of employees who they're talking to, and they were prodding as to how they make their loans, how do they decide, what's the process, and they're getting into the specifics of Trump's business dealings and his personal dealings as well. And listen, I think there's a lot of dirt there because his whole life he's been a corrupt businessman. And so as soon as you look beneath the surface, you can get him on a lot of stuff. They go on to say in the article that the district attorney's office has indicated in court filings that it is investigating potentially extensive criminal conduct at the Trump Organization. Prosecutors have suggested that Trump and his businesses could be investigated for tax and insurance fraud. Tax and insurance fraud. Now remember, if he goes down because of this, he can't even, like, if it's a federal crime, he could try to pardon himself, which would be crazy, and he should lose that court case, because you shouldn't be able to pardon yourself. That's insane. You're just making yourself a dictator, basically. But if it's the state coming after him, he doesn't even have, it's not even in the realm of possibility that he could pardon himself, because you can only pardon for federal crimes, not state crimes. So he'd go down and there's no way out. But obviously, listen, that being said, he would be out of office anyway when the hammer drops on this. So, but even like a President Pence couldn't pardon him if it's state crimes, and it would be state crimes. So he might actually be getting nervous. He might be getting nervous because there really is, you can't hide it as well if they're going through the business records, and the bully pulpit's not going to help you. You know what I mean? Like, most of Trump's problems, he's just used the bully pulpit as president effectively to get his way out of whatever problems it is. But this is like, no, that's not going to do it. If they find enough, you're going down. And remember, we discussed, his taxes recently, and there was a lot of questionable stuff in there. Now, some of the stuff he'll get away with, like the crazy violation of the Emoluments clause, for example. He's taken, over $70 million from foreign investors since he's been president? I mean, if that's connected to Saudi Arabia or Israel, then he turns around and does favors for them. That's a clear violation of the Emoluments clause, and that's almost certainly what happened. Jared and Ivanka, $135 million they've made as they've been in the White House. Who's it coming from? Who are you doing favors for? This could all be investigated, and it's all incredibly corrupt and probably illegal, but that's the stuff he'll probably get away with. What he won't get away with is this more banal stuff, kind of like standard operating procedure business crimes, if you will. In his taxes, we learned that he was basically giving Ivanka a lot of money and writing it off, taking it as a tax write-off. It's not really a legitimate write-off now, is it? Tax fraud, overvaluing his assets in certain contexts and undervaluing it in other contexts. Again, you're lying. You're lying about your taxes. So a lot of this stuff is illegal. And the question is, what can you actually nail him on, and what can you prove? Because if this fails, let me explain to you why it would fail. It would fail because oftentimes the way the law is written is to give wealthy people enough wiggle room to get out of situations like this. There are enough legal loopholes where if you have some business expert whose job it is to find those loopholes, they end up doing stuff that seems clearly illegal and unethical, but really it's just unethical. It's legal because the loophole was there for a reason. So that's the only thing that might be his saving grace, is that the law is so rigged anyway that oftentimes a lot of these actions are legal, even though they look clearly illegal. So, but then again, he also just owes so much money to so many people. Now, in terms of like the private businesses he owes money to and the private individuals, we don't have debtor's prison, so he could kind of get away with that scot-free, but you can't get away with owing a lot in back taxes, for example. You can't get away with that. That you can go to prison for. So if it's tax fraud, if it's insurance fraud, whatever it is, there's a lot of there, and they're investigating it, and you just need to hope that they find something and make an ironclad case, and also they didn't effectively and efficiently use the loopholes that exist to do things that are unethical but still legal. So I guess we'll find out, but they're looking in the right places. That's the point of me doing this segment, is to tell you they're looking in the right places. They're onto him. It's just a matter of if they could follow through or not.